The environment at Manchester United is a mess, and no wonder Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants to change that, making changes all round United in every aspect of the staffing appointments. And we will get to that in a minute, because I tell you what, the Glazers have run this club so badly the last 17, 18 years. But a big problem is the players, the player power, the toxic culture. We've had leaks, information coming out saying basically the players have lost motivation, Ten Hag can't motivate them, they've given up, they think the season's over, they're not going to win a game again, even though we're in an FA Cup final. Leaks this, leaks that Ten Hag has lost the players. And that is an absolute disgrace, because we have an FA Cup final against our rivals, Manchester City, to play, where we can win a trophy, and at least if we win that trophy, get in the Europa League and somewhat save the season. And Erik Ten Hag called in an emergency meeting at 7 a.m. yesterday, which is believed to have dealt with the mass amounts of leaks coming out that the players have given up. So we're going to get into that story, then we're going to get into some toxic problems at United and some big brutal changes that Ratcliffe plans to make to change the culture at United, which is the biggest problem. So please do hit that like button, give me 10 minutes of your time to round up all the latest Manchester United news today, and subscribe if you're new. The Sun said, and it is the Sun, but there was photo and video evidence of it, Erik Ten Hag called the Manchester United squad in early for training today. Ten Hag arrives at Carrington at 7 a.m. The Man United players were called in extra early for a training meeting apparently yesterday morning. It was said by Disco Mirror that Manchester United players fear they may not win another game this season. Morale and confidence is so low among Erik Ten Hag's squad that there is a feeling among many of the players that their season could be all but over. One Manchester United insider has described the mood among the squad as miserable, with many players convinced Ten Hag will be sacked at the end of the season. And what bit I want to go to is the middle bit. Man United players fear they may not win another game this season. There's a feeling that the season could be over. The season is not over, because you've got an FA Cup final to play for. If Newcastle and Chelsea drop points and we win our 3 remaining games, we can finish 6th and be in Europa League. Or we can not be in Europe at all, because we've gone from looking like we're going to have a Europa League spot nailed on to being so bad these last few games that we're not going to get in Europe at all, because Chelsea and Newcastle are catching us up. Because you players have given up. Like, we have been good all season, but sometimes we've grinded out results when we've not been great, and that's how we got 6th. Now we're not even grinding out results. Now there's no effort. How dare these players say the season's over, we might not win another game this season? Well, we won't win another game this season if the mentality's like that. One of the reasons we're so bad isn't just because we don't have good enough players and Ten Hag's tactics have been before. One of the reasons we're so bad is the weak, fragile, loser mentality within the squad. We won't win another game this season, the season's over, blah, blah, blah. We're never going to win the FA Cup final against City if you act like that. Now, City are the clear favourites going into the FA Cup final. But if we pull ourselves together, have some belief, we could win. Do you remember we were 2-0 down to PSG? Ollie was in charge. And we had this second leg in Paris, and we ended up getting through with all the injuries. And PSG were the favourites. We had so many players out, all those injuries. We did that because there was belief. At least Ollie had, when he first came in, instilled this weird belief in the United squad. There's no belief. You can't win, even if you're better than them, if you don't believe. You might as well lose all these games this season because they're acting like it. These players are letting down the fans. This has been a miserable season, and they can give us something to be happy about. Win these last couple of games, beat Arsenal, win an FA Cup final. They can give us something to be happy about. But they've lost belief. They've given up on and for me, that's embarrassing. Sometimes you don't deserve the fans. If you've seriously given up when you've still got things to play for, we're going to lose anyway, you've lost belief. You don't deserve to wear the shirt. You don't deserve the fans. I think that's absolutely embarrassing. And it's said that the mood around the squad is miserable, and many of the players are convinced Ten Hag will be sacked. There was obviously the leaks that we got from in yesterday's video that the players have basically given up and turned on Ten Hag. And I think it's an absolute disgrace. Ten Hag is calling a 7 a.m. meeting. He's trying to deal with these players, but they think he's gone, can't be bothered, I'm not motivated, whatever. And that is a disgrace. Of course, we have had problems with injuries, and there's been leaks saying that maybe Ten Hag's training hasn't helped, with the injury situation. But Nathan Salt said this: there has been a strong feeling, some sources, that the intensity of Erik Ten Hag's Man United training is, particularly for players returning from injuries and lengthy layoffs, has played a factor in the re-aggravation of injuries, which may be true because he does train quite intense and more intense than other managers, whereas Pep does a few rest days and tactical days Ten Hag does train quite intense. So potentially, I think ultimately you can't blame injuries on one thing. I think lack of sports science and fitness staff, lack of qualified good staff in every area, maybe lack of training regime, bit of luck. I think multiple things cause injury. The extra fixture list, longer games now with the added minutes as well. But Nathan did say it is internally suggested that many injury cases are down to bad luck rather than a systematic failure behind the scenes. One source put this down to the post-pandemic build-up of games eventually catching up, which may be true. I think it's a multitude of the World Cup, the build-up of games. I think some of it comes down to, poor training routines and, lack of having the best staff in every area, which we're going to get into, of course. And, of course, luck plays a part, which brings me into the next bit. Some important small changes, and this is to staffing in every aspect of United, from people that clean the facilities to just everyday staff that we won't even know of. It was said that Man United staff have been ordered to work from office permanently starting on the 1st of June. No more working from home. Sir Jim Ratcliffe found that Manchester United was overemployed in every area. We had too many people who weren't doing enough work. They were slacking. And an email sent by Manchester United's internal communications team on Thursday this week said that Ineos are taking time to review all aspects of how the club operate. Part of this is how we work, how we create a high-performance environment where everyone can be their best, working together towards our common goal. And what Ineos are trying to do is, and people will say, is this going to change the fact we're conceding 30 shots? Is this going to change this problem and that problem? And eventually, no. But eventually it will change the environment, which is a bigger problem. Basically, Ineos know the environment's the biggest problem at United. Look at the toxic players giving up. But when Ineos are looking around United and seeing the cleaners aren't doing the job and they leave Carrington a mess, that people aren't turning up at the office and working from home, doing half days work and sacking, that rubs off on the players. That rubs off at everyone at United. Every aspect of United, from the bar staff to the reception to the cleaners, have to be doing their best possible job to create a high-performance environment. And the way Ineos see it is, we need everyone in every role to be doing the best they can. It's not just about stopping the players and coaches slacking. Every member of staff, if they're slacking, they're out. And I like that from Ineos. I like that, because you've got to remember there was this report that we got through in yesterday's video that said the training ground atmosphere's turned toxic. Staff aren't happy because Ratcliffe toured the facilities and he viewed them as a disgrace. Ratcliffe sent an email, basically calling the facilities and the stadium a disgrace. Ratcliffe's not impressed by what he's seen. He's seen that actually the staff at United are neglecting their jobs around the stadium at Carrington, and you wonder why all of a sudden the players aren't producing their best around the stadium at Carrington. Every little change can make a difference. He wants to change every aspect of this club, every little bit of this club, because I think the United Muppeteers sum it up well. United under the Glazers, overhired, overspent, lacked oversight, lacked discipline and lacked standards on the pitch and off it. Fixing those things is going to result in some unpopular decisions. I'm not even saying I personally agree with them, but I know what they are running into. If you overhire, then you've got to lay people off. If you lack discipline, you have to crack the whip and implement new standards. But given Ineos have invested $1.7 billion without an expectation of taking a cent out, and every dollar saved will be reinvested into performance, I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt to their intentions. And I think that's a very fair tweet. And what he's basically saying is the Glazers have overhired, overspent, lacked discipline and insight, and Ineos have got to change that. We actually have more employees than any other club, but our employees, some of them just do absolutely nothing. And Ratcliffe's going to crack down on that, saying we don't need to be paying people to do this, this, and this, when actually we're paying two people to do one person's job, which is true. Which brings me into the final bit of today's show, because it is a news roundup, and we just have a little bit of manager news, because it is believed within the squad that Ten Hag will go. I think if I'm Ineos, part of me would want to read, if I read all those leaks, I almost want to keep Ten Hag reading those leaks, because I'd be putting my finger up to the player saying, you gave up because you thought this manager was gone. He's not gone, you idiots. But I do think Ten Hag's gone. Now, according to Ben Jacobs, Graham Potter will be tempted by the Man United role if he was offered it. Bear in mind, Graham Potter's just rejected the Ajax role. Is he waiting for Manchester United? I don't know, potentially. It was also said that Erik ten Hag is expected to be sacked by Manchester United at the end of the season. The two leading candidates to replace him are Gareth Southgate and Thomas Tuchel. It seems to be that Tuchel, De Zerbi, Southgate and Potter seem to be the ones that United are looking at. Obviously, Hansi Flick has said he's available. Look, I think Ten Hag goes and Tuchel comes in, to be honest. I don't see us going for Southgate or Potter. I think Ineos will want someone that's a bit more proven. That's Tuchel. Although Tuchel's not long-term and Ineos is seeing this as a long-term vision, I think Tuchel to United is the most likely. But listen, people, that is a roundup of all the latest Manchester United news and a bit of a rant about the culture at United. You can see how toxic the culture is at Manchester United and how it needs to change, and how those little changes Ineos are doing to staff can just help change the environment to get the culture back at United. Anyway, please do hit the like button on the way out. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Thank you for watching. Bye.